quick ad. With Time Twist, you get exciting, bizarre, and significant historical events delivered to your phone every single day. Enjoying this episode? There's so much more in the app. You'll find the link in the show notes. Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive in. May 29th. You might think, just another day on the calendar.
Hardly.
Exactly. Once you start digging, you find this incredible cluster of really significant historical moments.
Yeah, it's quite surprising.
We've pulled together quite a range of sources for this deep dive. Everything from, literal mountain climbing to major political shifts, even pop music history.
Real mix.
So our mission today is basically to pull out the most fascinating threads, maybe find some connections between these events that seem totally separate, and give you a shortcut to understanding why May 29th feels, well, so packed.
And what's really striking, I think, is just the sheer breadth of human activity packed into one date. It kind of challenges that neat linear view of history, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Instead, it's more like this vibrant, messy, multi-layered thing happening all at once.
That's a great way to put it. So let's start with breakthroughs, quite literally reaching the top. May 29th, 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summit Mount Everest. Think about the sheer ambition there. The drive to stand on the highest point on Earth. And crucially, it wasn't a solo effort.
No, that partnership was vital.
You have Hillary, the New Zealander, and Tenzing Norgay, the Sherpa from Nepal. Reaching the summit together, 11:30 a.m. What does that kind of shared achievement tell us?
Well, it's fascinating when you think about how exploration used to be often very nationalistic, competitive.
Right.
But here you see this critical collaboration. It really highlights how pooling expertise, building trust across different backgrounds, well, it becomes essential for these massive goals.
Makes you wonder if that collaborative spirit has become maybe more central since then.
It's a great question, and it leads nicely into another May 29th moment, doesn't it?
It does. Fast forward nearly half a century. May 29th, 1999. The Space Shuttle Discovery docks with the International Space Station for the first time.
Another kind of summit meeting.
Yeah, someone called it a cosmic handshake. Again, international collaboration is key, but this time, we're reaching beyond the planet. Do you see a direct line there from Everest to the ISS?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the environments are wildly different, obviously.
Obviously.
But both tap into that fundamental human urge to push boundaries, to explore the unknown. The ISS, though, perhaps underscores this shift towards shared global scientific effort even more.
Pooling resources for something no single nation could manage alone.
Exactly. Ambition channeled through cooperation.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From scaling heights to shifting power on the ground. May 29th is a really significant date in Nigeria's political history.
Definitely.
1999, you have Olusegun Obasanjo sworn in as president. That marked the end of military rule, a huge moment.
A real turning point.
Then, fast forward again, 2015, Muhammadu Buhari takes office. Another peaceful transfer of power, this time between civilians. It's like May 29th became this recurring symbol.
It seems that way, almost a national reset button, as you put it earlier.
Why this specific date, do you reckon? Is it just coincidence or something more?
That's a compelling question. I suspect dates can gather symbolic weight. Maybe that first transition in 99 felt so pivotal, such a moment of democratic hope, that subsequent milestones naturally aligned with it, reinforcing its meaning over time.
Interesting. And sticking with politics, but a different stage. May 29th, 1988. Remember Reagan in Moscow?
Oh yeah, Red Square.
Shaking hands with Soviet leaders. We're still deep in the Cold War here. Intense suspicion, nuclear threat looming.
A very tense time.
So that handshake, the smiles, apparently even some laughter. It was such a powerful image against that backdrop. Why was that gesture so significant then?
Well, given the decades of, deep mistrust and outright hostility,
Right.
that moment offered this incredibly potent visuals, a suggestion perhaps of a thaw, a willingness to actually talk, to engage in diplomacy, despite the huge ideological divides.
Not the end of the Cold War yet, but...
But definitely a crack in the eyes. A symbolic step that carried, I think, a lot of hope.
Okay, let's move towards social change. Evolving values. May 29th, 2013, France.
A big day.
Vincent Otten and Bruno Boileau get married in Montpellier, the first legal same-sex marriage in French history, described as a seismic shift. What's the wider impact of a moment like that?
Well, it goes way beyond the personal joy for the couple, important as that is.
Sure.
It becomes this powerful public symbol. Inclusion, equality, a fundamental change in who gets recognized by law, by society. It sends ripples outwards, inspires conversations elsewhere.
Individual milestones driving broader change.
Precisely.
And staying with unity, but maybe on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
May 29th, 1986, the European Union flag.
Yes, the Circle of 12 Stars.
First flown officially over Brussels on this day, symbolizing unity, solidarity, harmony, all those ideals.
A powerful symbol.
Of course, achieving that unity, well, it's been complicated. You just have to look at something like the French nod to the EU Constitution in 2005.
Right.
How do we square the powerful symbol of the flag with those political realities?
I think that's the perennial tension, isn't it? Yeah. Symbols represent the aspiration, the ideal, in this case, a unified Europe. But the actual journey involves navigating all these different national interests, public opinions, bumps in the road like that French vote. The flag remains the goal, but the path, well, it's rarely smooth.
Okay, brace yourself now. A total jolt to the system. Paris, May 29th, 1913. The premiere of Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring.
Oh, boy. Not just a premiere, a riot.
Exactly. Shouting, arguments, apparently even fistfights in the aisles. What on earth was going on? What provoked that reaction?
It was just completely revolutionary, both the music and the dancing.
How so?
Stravinsky's score, those dissonant chords, the jagged rhythms, and Nijinsky's choreography, angular, primal, nothing like elegant classical ballet.
So the audience was expecting Swan Lake and got this.
Pretty much. They were confronted with something completely alien, jarring, maybe even offensive to their sensibilities, hence the explosion.
And the irony is, this piece that caused a literal riot
is now hailed as an absolute masterpiece, a game changer for music and dance. Incredible.
From artistic chaos to catchy pop. Let's jump to May 29th, 2010, Eurovision.
Sequence and song.
Lena Meyer-Landrut wins for Germany with Satellite. It felt like a bit of a surprise win, didn't it? Kind of an underdog story.
It did. It wasn't your typical Eurovision power ballad or elaborate stage show.
What does a moment like that tell us about, European connections or culture?
Well, Eurovision, for all its kitsch sometimes, it really is this unique shared cultural event across the continent. Lena's win with this quite simple, infectious pop song just showed how music can cut through everything else.
Creating a shared moment.
Yeah, a brief sense of collective fun and Europeanness, maybe.
Now let's talk about some remarkable people born on May 29th. Peter Higgs, born 1929.
Ah, the Higgs boson theorist.
Exactly. Responsible for this theory about a fundamental particle that essentially gives other particles mass. Hugely important stuff in physics.
Absolutely fundamental to the Standard Model.
And by all accounts, a very unassuming man. Not interested in fame at all. What's the impact of his theoretical work?
It's profound. His ideas, eventually proven experimentally decades later, completely reshaped our understanding of the universe's basic building blocks. It highlights the power of that quiet, persistent, fundamental research.
Then there's John F. Kennedy, also born May 29th.
A very different kind of figure.
Became this potent symbol of youthful energy, optimism, big ambitions, the moon landing, civil rights.
Captured the imagination.
And that famous line from his inauguration, "Ask not what your country can do for you.
Ask what you can do for your country," still resonates.
Why do you think his legacy endures so strongly?
I think, despite the brevity of his presidency, he tapped into a powerful sense of national purpose and possibility. That call to civic duty, the focus on pushing boundaries, it left a lasting mark.
And we absolutely must mention Tenzing Norgay again, born May 29th, 1914.
The man who stood on top of the world with Hillary.
We talked about the Everest Summit earlier, but focusing on him, he wasn't just the guide. His knowledge, his resilience were completely integral.
Absolutely crucial. He brought unparalleled expertise of that extreme environment, immense physical strength, and sheer determination.
A legend.
His achievement highlights not just human endurance, but the vital role of indigenous knowledge in exploration, a true symbol of strength and that essential partnership.
Now, for some moments showing perhaps the extremes of human experience, Steve Fonyo, remember his run across Canada?
Incredible story.
A young man who lost a leg to cancer, running thousands upon thousands of kilometers, 7,124, I think, to raise money for cancer research.
Just raw willpower. No frills, just sheer determination.
What does a journey like that signify?
It's just a stunning example of human perseverance against the odds, isn't it? That drive to overcome personal adversity and contribute something bigger really speaks to the strength of the human spirit.
Then on a much darker note, May 29th, 1985, the Heysel Stadium disaster in Brussels.
A terrible tragedy.
39 football fans killed before the European Cup final. It had a massive lasting impact on football, didn't it?
Absolutely. It led directly to major reforms in stadium design, crowd control, ticketing across Europe.
What was the key lesson learned, tragically?
It was just a brutal reminder of the absolute necessity for proper safety measures and crowd management at large events. The reforms were a direct response to the failures that led to those deaths, emphasizing that safety has to be paramount.
Shifting tone again. May 29th connects us to some pop culture icons, too. Mel B's Scary Spice.
Girl power. Zigga Zigga.
More than just a pop star, right?
Yeah.
She and the Spice Girls felt like a cultural force for a while there. What was their impact?
Oh, huge. Especially for young women at the time. That girl power message, promoting confidence, female friendship, celebrating individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Mel B's outspoken, energetic persona was central to that. A really memorable figure.
And speaking of visibility, Rupert Everett. Born May 29th, a very accomplished actor.
Yes, very talented.
But also significant for being openly gay early in his mainstream career and a vocal advocate for LGBTQ plus representation.
Definitely. His openness, his willingness to be unapologetically himself in the public eye certainly helped pave the way and contributed to greater visibility and acceptance.
Then, a very different kind of public moment. May 2018. Roseanne Barr. Her highly successful show reboot canceled.
Right, after that controversial tweet.
It's a stark reminder of the power and the potential consequences of speech on public platforms today. What does an event like that signal?
It really highlights the speed and reach of social media, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And how quickly public figures can face repercussions for what they say. It taps into ongoing debates about free speech versus accountability, especially when statements are seen as offensive or harmful.
Okay, now for a couple of those stranger-than-fiction moments May 29th has thrown up. May 2010, Guatemala City.
The sinkhole.
A sinkhole the size of a building just opens up in the middle of the city after a tropical storm, like something from a movie.
Just an incredible, terrifying display of nature's power. A stark visual of the vulnerability of our built environment to extreme weather and geology.
And then May 2008, an earthquake hits Iceland near Selfoss. But the report suggested the locals pretty calm about it.
Yeah, which speaks volumes, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, living in a geologically active place like Iceland, people develop a different relationship with these events. There's an understanding, preparedness, well-practiced responses. It's resilience born from familiarity, really.
And maybe the strangest for last. May 2018 again, Arkady Babchenko, the Russian journalist.
Oh, the fake death.
Right. News breaks that he's been murdered. Outrage. Mourning. And then plot twist, he walks into a press conference alive.
Utterly bizarre.
What was the fallout from that? Staging your own death?
Hugely controversial. It sparked massive debates about journalistic ethics, the use of deception, even as he claimed, it was to expose a plot against him and ensure his safety. It definitely damaged trust and caused a lot of confusion and anger.
Finally, as we wrap this up, one more May 29th event to reflect on. 1994. The death of Erich Honecker.
The former leader of East Germany.
Died in exile in Chile. A man who presided over the Berlin Wall symbolized that divided Europe, ending his days so far from the country he ruled.
It's a really poignant end note, isn't it? His life story encapsulates those huge Cold War dramas and the dramatic collapse of the Eastern Bloc. Dying in exile, it's a final marker of that massive historical shift.
So there you have it, May 29th, a single date, but look at the sheer variety packed into it.
Incredible range.
We've seen triumphs on mountains and in space, political resets, cultural shifts, artistic explosions, tragedies, bizarre twists.
Births of figures who shaped our world, moments that changed safety rules.
It really drives home that history isn't some dusty old textbook narrative. It's dynamic, it's messy, it's constantly surprising, unfolding all around us.
Absolutely makes you wonder what the next May 29th might bring.
It certainly does. What unexpected connections are waiting just around the corner on any given day? Something to think about.